So what you see me doing here is I'm using my popsicle stick or my palette knife, and I'm using that to guide the clay down. And I'm holding it at a slight angle, and this helps work the clay from your coil into the coil below it or into the slab. But that angle is really important, that you get it at a slight angle. If you hold it at the angle where the leading edge is pushing into the pot, it can actually cut your pot. So you want the leading edge, or the edge that touches the clay first, to be angled slightly outward as you push the clay into the coil below it or into the slab. Here's a cross section of our pot, and we're going to use our needle tool and we're going to cut down to make something called a gallery. A gallery is a flange, a 90-degree corner where a lid would sit. So we're going to be cutting down with our needle tool very slowly until we get about the depth of our slab or slightly more. So when the lid fits in here, it's slightly recessed from the lip. So you cut down very slowly, and then you're going to cut in horizontally. And when the two edges meet, or when the two cuts meet, you're going to peel away this excess clay, and you're going to be left with what we call the gallery. And again, it should be deep enough that your slab fits in there securely. To make the lid, you're going to have to take a measurement from this inside corner of the gallery to this inside corner of the gallery. We're going to use a ruler, and we're going to try to get this as exact as we can. So I need to make a lid that is from here to here on my ruler. Okay, once I get that measurement, I'm going to mark it on a piece of paper. I need to make my lid exactly that wide. And I found that when you cut it, the needle tool, the width of the needle tool will give it just enough room so it'll fit perfectly in there when you cut it. I'm going to need to have a lid that's 2 7/8 inches wide. So the first thing I'm going to do is just draw a circle that I think is going to be about 2 7/8. And then I'm going to check it with the ruler. So I got about 3 1/4 right there. So that tells me I need to make my lid a little smaller than that. Now keep in mind, when you go in a 1/16 of an inch here, you're also going in a 1/16 of an inch there. So that's actually 1/8 of an inch that you're making your lid smaller. A little adjustment can mean a big deal. So I'm going to try to go in just a little bit. I'm going to draw a line and see where I'm at. Now that's probably going to be too small. That's 2.5, so I need to have it a little bit bigger than that so I can split the difference right here. I'm going to check it. That's right about at our 2 7/8 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and just cut really slowly, a little bit at a time with my needle tool until I hear the needle tool hit the wheel. Keep in mind you can always make your lid smaller, but you can't make it bigger. So that's almost perfect right there. So I'm going to cut away the excess. Now with a damp sponge, I'm just going to take my damp sponge and smooth off the edge. This can sometimes make it a little bit wider. To make the knob on my pot, I'm going to take a piece of clay. It's a little bit larger than a pea, or slightly smaller than a marble. And I'm going to shape it in a pyramid or a cone shape. I'm going to shape it in a cone shape like this. And that might be kind of counterintuitive at first because this would be hard to grab onto. If it was attached there and left like that, you would think that something like an inverted cone might work better. However, we need to attach it really securely to the base and later we're going to shape it. So what I'm going to do first is just score the middle of my pot. This is where having it on the banding wheel and spinning it is really going to help us center it later, because my scores are going to be concentric circles like this. And it'll help me get it centered really easily. So then I've scored it, I'm going to score the bottom of the knob. And I'm going to use water for this. I really prefer water. Sometimes slip on something this small and this delicate can cause it to actually slip and slide on the pot. So I'm going to put it on there. I'm going to check for center. It's pretty good. And I'm going to give it a little wiggle. That'll really lock it in place. If it's not locked down and you try to start spinning this, it's going to come undone. And I'm just going to wait a couple seconds. And that couple seconds is going to let it attach this. Now hold this at an angle. I'm going to use this and I'm going to push down, locking it in. Now once it's locked in, I can begin to shape it. I'm going to start splaying this top part out by pushing down. This is going to distort it quite a bit, but we're going to change it up. So I'm just going to push down in the middle a little bit. That's going to widen the top. Now I'm going to come in here at an angle and shape it more. You can see how it's all ragged right there. That's normal, and it's really not a big deal. You can just trim it off with your needle tool. Now that I've got the knob locked down, if you were to try to pick this up, it wouldn't be very easily to pick up because it's still slightly cone shaped. So we're going to push this in slightly and make an undercut here so my hands, if you were to grab this, have something to grab onto. So I'm going to use the profile of the popsicle stick. I'm going to push that in from the side, and that's going to raise this up and make a really nice curve. Again, I'm going to push this down, and it is wobbling, but we're not worried about that right now because we can cut it. Now I have this nice undercut right here, something to grab onto. I'm just going to cut off the little wobbly part at the top and smooth that over with my sponge. You don't want to take this off the wheel right away because when you pick it up, since it's so soft, this is fresh clay, it'll warp right away. So we're going to put it in front of the fan just for about 5 minutes to stiffen it up. So when I pick it up off the wheel, it doesn't completely bend. And we're going to use our wire tool to cut the lid off there. Just make sure when you're using the wire tool that your fingers are pushing down onto the wire and pushing down on the wheel head as you pull it across. And you want to pick it up very gently, and you want to make sure that you don't set it on anything dirty because it'll get clay on the bottom of it. Now if we did everything right, our lid should drop right in our pot and fit nicely with a little bit of extra space so we can glaze the gallery. Now keep in mind, if it doesn't fit, if it's a little bit big, you can either shave a little bit of the clay away on the gallery, or you can shave a little bit of clay away on the lid if it's too big. But if it's too small, then you have to make a new lid. So it's always better to err on the larger side. So you can see my lid fits in there nicely. I have a little gap all the way around. Again, we can use that gap to glaze the inside of our gallery so it looks really nice. Down, whoop. Take 2.